All right, guys, welcome into episode 36 of Coffee and Chel. We took, I think, like a 10-day break. We apologize. I was traveling for what seems to be every single week this month, and we just got busy. So, unfortunately, we weren't able to record on yesterday. We're going to double up, hopefully, this week. Episode 36 is a jam-packed episode, all right, guys? Buckle up, okay? We got a lot to talk about. EA releasing the most scam packs possibly ever in the store. GWC, the biggest portion of the GWC is about to happen. We got Kenobi spoilers. We are going to talk about our thoughts on Kenobi. So make sure if you haven't watched Kenobi, don't listen to the portion. We'll make sure that we give you a spoiler thing. Also, some new games. I'm not going to lie. This is probably the most excited and intrigued I've been to try other games. And then we're going to do our top 5 worst NHL games in order. This is not just like a 5. We will give our top 5 worst games that we think in the NHL franchise. But regardless, I'm Sleeves. He's Kesso. Kesso, how you been, dude?
Dude, I've been doing good. We celebrated our first unofficial Father's Day this past weekend. It was really nice. My wife got me a new Blackstone griddle. Have you seen those?
That's pretty solid. I have.
Yeah. Yeah. So I used it, made some hamburgers, made a steak the other day. So that was pretty fun. Just been enjoying life.
Let's go, dude.
Dude, we were supposed to record tomorrow, and I texted you earlier today. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stream that IHF tournament. So I was like, oh, I bet it starts at like 7 p.m. I get on to check into the tournament. It starts at 10 p.m.
Oh,
Like I was like, oh, what in the world? So like after this, I'm excited to, play some NHL for the first time in a long time.
let's go, dude. That should be fun. The
Hopefully
IHF tournament's
represent.
kind of cool.
Yeah, dude, 5K to the first place team.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that?
No, so guys, for anyone that doesn't know, the IHF tournament is back for the first time since 2020. It was like my first big broadcasting gig that I like helped with in the NHL community. It's back, and I will be heavily involved in it again this year. But yeah, so basically there'll be 2 representatives from I think 22 different countries. So there's
Yeah.
22 different little mini tournaments, and you end up with 2 qualifiers from each one. Obviously, Canada, the U.S., and Finland are really the big ones where there's a lot of competition. Then it's really fun. Then basically what you do is it's aggregate. So yes, you will play Europeans, and the connection will be absolutely brutal. But there's aggregate scoring. I think it's the same way. So basically, what'll happen is you play one person, and say you win 5-1. That means that their opponent has to win by 6 or 5 in the next game.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool format. It's one of the ones I've really enjoyed, and it'll be fun to see how this one's done. But yeah, the connection issue is always going to be a thing. No land, but nonetheless, it will be fun. Is there anyone else? Did you see anyone else trying out for it?
Yeah, dude. So people signed up on both consoles, right? I think you
Yeah.
can only play one. So I think tonight Junior Pens will be in my bracket, maybe Daddy Padre, Dodzy. But unlike GWC, like GWC combines North America, right? So it's always tough. This one is a little bit easier because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have to play like Saphira or Eggs or something.
Yep.
And I just dude, I played my first 2 versus games of the year last night.
Yep.
We're in what, June 23rd, so I just like I better, play a versus game. It feels so much better.
It's weird, eh?
And it's like, dude, and it's like I like this tournament because it's like a mix between versus and hut because you have like
Use
some
the
of the
Canadian
higher.
teams, right?
Yeah, well, Team USA.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that are good on the team. It was fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's funny because like everyone talks about Hockey Ultimate Team where it's like the first 2 months are like by far so good, and everyone thinks it's content and getting bored of the game, and that's gonna be part of it. But man, I think that like the biggest issue that Hockey Ultimate Team always has is just the way that it progresses compared to other sports games. It's just there's no way to please marketing, the player base, and the development team effectively. Yeah. There's not. Like, there simply isn't. I've talked about this before. Like, if you were to, let's say you started, because everyone's like, well, why don't you just start, like, over, I guess this is our first fucking hockey talk debate here, so get into it. People talk about, how you start playing Hockey Ultimate Team at the beginning, and why don't they start the overalls lower? Right? Because that's like, then progression takes longer and it's all that. The problem with that is if you go, because it does start lower than Hut, or Versus, sorry. So like Connor McDavid is an 89 overall, right? He's like a 95 in Versus. Yeah. Much higher ratings, but they have to dial that back because you can't have a 95 overall card at the launch of the game. And the issue that you run into is if you were to go back even further, you're playing. Do you remember that Silver Comp Seasons that was like an NHL 20?
I do remember that. I don't think I played in it, but I remember it
No,
happening.
but and everyone was like, this is like when comp season started to like be. I don't know if it was already on the outs or if it was like the last year of it. And basically, for anyone that doesn't know what a competitive season was, it was basically little tiny mini hut champs or like events that you could play in that had team restrictions, which is awesome and desperately needed in NHL or just something. But the problem is that everyone hated the silver one because the overalls were so low. You were playing with like 80 overall skaters. And you notice that, like, speed is
Yeah.
relative, but when you play with slower players, you notice that. And if you brought it all the way back down, that makes it even slower, right? And at the
Yeah.
launch of the game, it's really important that the game plays what it's intended to be like, because if it doesn't, your reviews go out, the perception of the game gets made, and that's it. So, when it comes to like the player base, the issues I was gonna be like, we get 99 skaters in December. And they've done a better job at it, but it's still the power creep is very quick. I think Team of the Year is probably the biggest problem because Team of the Year comes out and that's clearly a marketing thing, right? Like marketing comes in and is like, "Hey, we want this event." And it's like, "Okay, cool." But then the player base, you've got 6 cards that are like 99 overall, like Victor Hedman was. And that's just, that kind of sucks, but the dev team has it even harder because the dev team has no control over Hockey Ultimate Team. Right? The dev team makes HUT and ESHL, and when they release the game, they feel that that's what they wanted and what is it as intended. And if you play versus, you usually will. It'll be your most enjoyable experience. One, it's
Yeah.
peer to peer, not
All the
server
time.
based, and that's crazy because that's literally what the game is designed like. The developers did usually do a half decent job when it comes to that. Some years it's worse than others, but like when you play 99 HUT and then go to that, it's a nice break. Like it's a nice refreshing break because versus is what it is as intended. And it's so funny because like, man, when we were growing up, that's all I played. Like franchise mode, and then I would grind out try to get top 100 in versus every year. And
Yeah,
like
dude.
that was the fun. That was and that was it. And now Hockey Ultimate Team, like as your season goes along, you got to keep cards in your lineup to keep up with everyone else. But then like you get into the situation where you're not playing the game as it was intended to be developed, right? And I don't know how
Yeah.
you fix that. Again, I don't know how you appeal. Again, so like the big issue with marketing, right? It's like you're not going to be as excited for a 90 or an 88 overall card that comes out in January, regardless if it is slightly better than what we have. As a human being, you see that and you will not be as excited. It's happening in MLB right now. They're lowering the power creep. They're really hammering down on it. Not releasing cards at a really high clip that were higher overall. And people are just inertly just like angry about it, but they're not realizing like that this is a transition year. And it's just how marketing is. Like you need that new higher card to chase because then it's like, why am I buying packs and all that kind of stuff? So, but I'm glad you're enjoying Versus. I'm excited to see who wins because it's always really fun to see because it's a duo that wins the for the countries, right? But let's talk. Okay, let's talk about HUT and the store. Okay, that's our first big topic. So EA, I don't know if there's someone new, but there is definitely a change in philosophy of what's going on in the store. Either there's more freedom being allowed, or they're just like let's just try some stuff. Because there's been packs that have come out recently that were never in the store throughout the year, and the cost of them is absolutely hilarious. So recently, I don't even know the name. It's like Jumbo Supreme Super Ultra Elite Pack, and it was 20 cards. 10 of them are 83 and above, and 10 of them are 82 and above. The price tag on this pack is $60.
Yeah.
$60 for this pack. That is almost the cost of the game at launch. That is more than what the game costs now. And what's even more insane is it is untradeable. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I think what they're doing now is literally trying to squeeze like any penny remaining out of the people that are still playing. Because that's the only thing that's feasible, right? Like, why else would they be releasing these types of packs? Is there anything else that makes
part
sense?
part of me thinks that it's people. So EA Play came out or whatever it was called. I think it's called EA Play, and NHL was free. And there was actually a big influx of players into the player base. Now, not all of them went to HUT because HUT Champs is still dead, even with the making it like half price or whatever. And there's no cards on the market. And those are all indications that no one's playing HUT. So they're playing ESHL, which is what most of the player base does anyways, or they're playing franchise mode or be a pro, things like that. I think what they're trying to do is a pack like that, if you got the game for free because you just got it from EA Play or whatever it's called, maybe you justify buying that because you're trying to make a team that could be like can catch
Yeah,
up. That's my only thought. But
that
good
makes sense.
lord, it is just absolutely tone deaf. Like it just looks
Forgot that there was that
disgusting.
EA Play period because I think Thrash was mentioning like, oh, there's a lot more people playing the game now, and he's the only person that actually still enjoys playing the game.
I
But
know, I know.
he
Good for
said
him.
that yeah, a lot of people playing the game now. So if you get the game for free, you're like, oh, I'll spend $60 on a pack to catch up.
Yeah,
And dude, and you're not even guaranteed a like usable card.
no, dude. Like it's I did not rip this pack. I almost
You
did because it
did
was like YouTube.
you did rip the one before though, didn't
It
you?
was like all 82 plus.
Okay.
This one is like a slightly different caveat.
Yeah, dude, it was the Ultimate Elite or something
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
like that one.
It's just a joke. Like I did one that was like similar, but I think it was like 700 points cheaper. And
Okay.
it's just like my big issue. Okay, so here's the debate. I told you there's going to be a debate, or maybe there isn't going to be one about what I have now come to realize. So in a perfect world, we will get cross console NHL 23. We have no info on this if it's going to. So which scares me because usually we get like a little bit at this point. It's June. We get a
Yeah.
little bit of little shown bits and pieces of the new game by now as game changers. We haven't yet. We haven't had a build or anything like that. So we don't know if it's going to be cross console, and we don't know if it's going to be cross market. Dude, if it comes out and there's only cross console, like gameplay, I don't think that is as beneficial to HUD as cross market in the current landscape of the game. And
I
now,
think it depends on what type of player you are.
okay, so I wanted to tell you that for a second. I think you can hear me through my speaker. By the way, we'll keep recording through this, but that speaker,
I can hear you. What do you
no,
mean?
I can hear me through you.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad.
It's all good. It's all good.
Let me turn you down a little bit
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, so it's all good. So here is my thought. So I've gotten hounded over the last year about maybe giving my opinions and only having the and only looking out for like the competitive side of the game. And maybe that's true. I could not have been more involved in the GWC, and a lot of my close friends are like you are among like the best players in the world. And I think that I forget sometimes that my audience, for 40,000 subs on YouTube, majority of them are like average players. They're not like the top 1%. Oh, well, I'm sure there is a lot, but the majority of my audience is players that are trying to get better at the game that aren't already great at the game. And if you are not in Division 1 in this year, and this is probably the least amount of people in Division 1, especially with the 4 consoles and how hard it is. Like it seems more difficult to get to Division 1 than prior years, and that's probably because there's not as much players, right? Like there just isn't enough, so like there's not as many crappy players that are in the middle there, crappy, you know what I mean, like lesser skill players. So it's hard to get in Division 1. But outside of that, you can find a game.
Pretty easily.
Yeah, like
Last time I tried, yeah.
I have never had to wait more than 5 minutes, and I'm in Division 1, but I'm at like 2250. So like my 100 points in Division 1. If you have 2,500 points or 3,000, you're not finding a game. And I feel for you guys because you're so good at the game that you're just you're at the mercy of like being too good, essentially. And that sucks. However, 99% of the player base is not there. You can find a game. What you can't find are cards. And I really think for the majority of the player base and for the game to be better, because I've said this before, that once cross console becomes a thing, the actual act of putting cross console in the game does not make the game infinitely better. It allows them to put modes into the game because now it's cross console. That makes the game infinitely better, right? So if all we're gonna get, and again, we've been game changing. Well, you've been a game changer now for 2 years. This will be my 5th NHL game. We have a pretty decent understanding of the levels of things and amount of things that they can implement into a game each year. I would have to hazard a guess that if cross console is a thing and that's where all the resources are going, we are not getting much else.
I wouldn't think so. No.
I would be blown away if we got cross console like a couple modes or a mode or something like that. I would think that cross console is what the back of the box feature is, and that's really the big thing. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I also, if that's the case, I am looking forward to a year without a back of the box feature.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I
last
think if you go
year I
back,
don't even think we had one though, dude.
the back of the box features for the past 4 or 5 years have not been anything desirable, right? So, like thinking about it, what it was this past year, it was that
X
alternate
Factors.
reality thing.
Oh,
The overlay
augmented
on the ice,
reality,
yeah,
dude.
augmented, not
That did not
alternate.
work.
Yeah, that was awful, right?
Yeah.
X Factors, I don't really care for it
Roster
too much.
sharing in December.
Was that a back of the box
I don't know,
feature?
but I could see it. Like I remember that
Yeah,
being a big thing when they did the announcement of NHL 22.
yeah. Ones was one of those as well.
That was in NHL 20. One's Eliminator was one.
Rush was one of them in
Rush,
21.
yeah, Rush was 21s.
Now going back to 19, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I can't tell you. Maybe Rivals. Rivals
That
came like
would
mid-year.
Yeah, it was mid-year, so it would have been like a gameplay thing.
Probably, yeah. It might have
The
been.
new
Oh,
is
the
it a new
stick
s
and the defensive skill stick was one in NHL 18. I
Yeah,
think it
and then,
was.
you said stick. There was another one. The
Stick and
skating engine.
physics. The stick and physics.
Wasn't there a new skating engine at some point?
In what? In NHL 18.
Okay, never mind. Okay, so back to my point, right? The back of the box features are never anything that's like left like desirable like the next year, right?
For the most part, yeah.
We don't really care about them.
Yeah. No, I agree.
No, but I think though, like you were saying, like the market thing, if it is cross console and it's not cross market, right? You should have a lot more people that have the PS5 and like Series X or S system next year, though, because we play on the new gen systems. Not too many people have them. I'm assuming there's going to be more people with those consoles.
I
Wouldn't
can't
you
see
think?
that big of a jump though, man.
I
Enough
don't
to.
know, because I'm seeing on like Twitter and stuff. It's like GameStop has like
Yeah.
50 PS5s,
Yeah.
But then also, are we going to get into the situation where consoles are available and the economy crashes and nobody can afford a new one?
That's what I'm thinking. I think that here is what I think. Let's pretend that we get cross console and not cross market. Because like I would be stunned if we get both. Because it
Yeah,
just seems like it's two different things. Like I don't know if it would be a thing. Let's pretend that there's no cross market. If they come out and everything is still untradeable, it everything is if everything is tradable outside of guaranteed cards that I hopefully we get to earn because God forbid we get something like that. But if it's not cross market and it's cross console and everything is tradable, then I think we're in for a nice year of HUT. But if
yeah.
it's the same, like, dude, there is some reason. I can't ever get a straight answer. I've never been told an answer as to why, but there is a reason why they love untradeable cards and protecting like the market from like everyone having these overpowered teams. But I just like why what if everyone had a good team?
Wouldn't be
Like
that bad, would it?
what would be like it must be money?
It has everything, about
I would
money.
guess, but like when you look at like FIFA and other ultimate MLB, it isn't like that. Like it's not because I'll be honest with you. Hockey Ultimate Team brings in money for NHL, a lot of it, but it's still game sales because everyone plays ESHL. That's why ESHL always gets more resources than HUT. So we're still not at that point where HUT is like this huge, you know, massive money make. Oh, so it is a massive money. I'm trying to like it's more than the game sales. So because on average, less than 20% of the entire player base of HUT spends more than $20.
Oh, is that a fact?
Yeah. Now that was a couple years ago, and I have a
Okay.
feeling that in 20 my big fear is that 21 and 22 made a lot of money because of the government checks in North America. And I would
Well, I'm
be
sure it was the same here with unemployment and
that's what I'm
stuff.
saying. Like we got CERB, which was this basically grant during COVID where everyone got $2,000 a month. And I can guarantee you that a lot of that went into video games because no one worked, no one outside. They had extra money that they weren't used to. I would be willing to bet that Ultimate Team mode saw gigantic, just like on Twitch. Twitch's viewership went through the roof in 20 and 22 or 20 and
Yeah.
21. And a fear of mine is that like the EA guys on their yachts are like NHL had great numbers in 21 and 22. Why do we need to do anything else? Keep doing what you're doing, fellas. Like that's a fear of
That's
mine.
it 100%. Like, I mean, I think the people, and I've said it before on here, the people that work, develop the game, I think they're in a good spot and they kind of want the same things we do.
If
Their
the game's
opinion, I
better,
don't think.
their lives are better.
Yeah, I don't think their opinion matters as much as the guy that's looking at, a financial statement and seeing year over year 20% increase in revenue. And he's just like, no, keep doing what you're doing, you know?
I don't know, man. That's like, but like the pack thing. This is new. What they're doing. They never did this in the year before. I am almost at the point. I said this in a couple of videos ago, where I don't know you. I don't think you played HUT because this was NHL 19, I think, and it was launch NHL 19.
Yeah, I
So
didn't play
yeah,
launch.
because you came over when GWC got announced, which I believe was January. There was a pack that came out where it was like 2 weeks after launch of the game, maybe a month, right around Halloween. and it was a pack where you spent it was $100. They only have this one time $100 pack. You could buy 2 of them, the maximum. And in it was 3 cards that you could choose from. Okay, out of a possible 5. So that's what. And you didn't get all 3. You just got one of them. So this is basically a $100 card. But in it was like the 93 Legends Timu Solani, which was like the holy grail. And there was like Brian Leach, who was really good. There was a couple options that was like, ugh. Like, I think it was Daryl Sittler was one where it was like, ah. But like, I'm at a point now where like, bro, give me that pack. Give me that over this crap.
$100 on a card. It's not really that good.
No. But it's better than what the alternative is.
I know.
If you
I just can't believe that.
If you were going to spend money on the game, right? I do it because it's my job, and like, you know what I mean. Like, people watch my content because they want to see the best cards, right? And I fully agree that I'm not like, I'm supporting EA and all their bullshit by buying all of their packs. Yeah, this is my job, right? Like, I don't enjoy doing it, but I have to come up with videos that people want to watch, and that's a big part of it. And I would much rather have that option.
Yeah, it makes more sense because at least you're getting like an expected like return value on your investment, I guess.
Pretty sure, bro, it was tradable. Someone in the comments section, or if you're on listening to this on Spotify, like, tweet at us. I'm almost positive this pack was tradable. And because I remember it tanking the price of something.
They've trained us over the years to be okay with this, though.
Because we have no options. It's like they are so slow. And I don't know, this might be coding, right? Somewhere along the line, NHL got hammered in to a way that they have to do things on a foundational code level of the game that they can't get out from. So, for example, like the collectible system. Like, they can't get out of that. It's like they were in it, and now, like, gold, they were like, oh, if we make gold collectibles, you throw in 50 players, because before gold collectibles, it was every new event had a new collectible that came with it. And I believe you couldn't make them. You had to pack them, or maybe buy them, like, on the auction house. And I can't, and then you would earn some of them through, like, comp seasons. You would earn some through event rewards, or like milestones and all that kind of stuff. Again, NHL 18 is a long time ago. And then NHL 19, they're like, dude, hold up, gold collectibles. You can throw in 50 players, and now a player is a currency. And the gold collectible system was to only implemented to help give people another option than these stupid event ones that were clearly a scam. Every event there was like a new collectible. Once the event was done, they were useless, right?
Yeah.
And then the gold collectible system, they used that for like 3 years, and then it was like, this is not ideal. So they get rid of it. We got rid of gold collectibles. Totally new. Dude, it's just power of collectibles.
Yep.
And tier list. Nothing has changed. The foundation of that is trade in players, X amount of players, and now there's more freedom, because before it was like a gold player was a gold player. 80 was the same as an 87 or an 86, right? Which helped the value of those individual cards. So if you pulled an 86 in June, it has more value than it did than an 80 overall does in June, right? Whereas before it didn't. It was an 86 was an 80 is the same. So like, it's improved a little bit, but it's still the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if the tech will ever be there. I think it would take a substantial overhaul to get out of the way of that. I would love it if the upgrade system that we now have is tied to like scoring goals with that card, or doing things with that card.
Yeah, no, I would love that too. Like, instead of putting in 5 power-up collectibles, you can score 50 goals with the card.
Exactly, dude.
That would be way more better.
Yep, I think that's just a better way to go.
I highly doubt we'll see that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think there's a chance for that.
Yeah, and I don't know if they can track that. Like, part of me thinks that like they can't track individual cards, because if you look, what they do now is like score goals, right? It's like when the new milestone or the new events come out, there's like objectives where it's like score 50 goals, just 50 goals, but it's never like score 50 goals with a forward. And part of me thinks that that's a tech thing, because I don't see why they wouldn't do that. Like, they could do it on a much more vague level. Like, if it's like, to unlock one, you got to score 50 goals with a forward. Like, that's a little bit cooler than score, or maybe it's score 20 goals with a defenseman. You know?
Some of them are there though in Rush, but I think they also don't work half the time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those ones are tied to like mechanics, where it's like make 75 passes or something dumb. Like,
Yeah. Well,
and
some of them are score a goal to the center, you know?
that's true, but you're position locked. So like your
Yeah.
position is like you're playing Hut Rush is literally ESHL.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you go out of the game, because when you go to Hut Rush, it's a complete separate thing, and you have to
It
go.
is.
You know what I
Yeah. And
mean?
then it has to load in the rewards separately.
Yeah, like I think that it's because it uses the coding or the foundation of ESHL and not just Hut. Like if that makes any
Yeah.
sense, because your team you have to draft and like lock in. So I don't know. I hope to see like that system as I just want to get away from what the prime time and team of the week. That has been the same since NHL 15, I think. Like, and it is tired, bro. You know?
It's boring.
It,
It's boring.
yeah.
Every week, 50 new cards that are useless.
And it's funny
More
because
than that.
I got a little insight last year on how it works. Like, the developer that is in charge of that will come in on like a Monday and do research for 4 hours on which cards had a big night. It's not like it's just like you got to go through all the box scores, all that kind of stuff to see who's worthy of a prime time in multiple leagues, right? So if there was less of that and there was a harder requirement to get a prime time, that's just less work for them. And then maybe they could actually fine tune the cards to make them a little bit different than, arbitrary +2 to everything. Because that would make, like if Timo Meyer has a 5-goal game, which he did, okay? 5-goal game. His shot should be 99. Maybe he goes from 86 to an 88, or maybe 86 to an 89, and his shot is all 99, but everything else stays in level. Like, that is cooler. That card is specifically different, and it has a uniqueness to it that the other guys don't, right? But like again, like the upgrade system is cool, and I think that when they released under 22, that was a big thing, where they put in the where they gave everyone an ability to get a cheaper MSP, and then upgrade it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's big. I think that was big, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
because the first few sets they released this year, wasn't it only like 2 versions of a card?
Dude, it was the first event was like there was an 86 overall MSP, 288 overall MSPs, and 291.
Yeah.
And it made no sense, and they
It was
immediately
really
backtracked
strange.
because
And
the
then
rivals.
and then they came out with like that. I feel like there was it the Halloween one,
Yep,
the Rivals
yep.
one. Were there 2 versions of like a Crosby? Was there like an 89 and a 90, or am I misremembering?
I think you're misremembering.
Okay.
There was a prior year. What they did was they made it where the card that you made was an 89 at launch, but you could find and you could pull the 90.
That's what that's
Something
what it
like
was.
that. Like that was like
Yeah.
because I remember that was like the Lit versus Grit with like Heiskanen on. I remember that being like one of the best
Yeah.
cards, and I remember I went out and got the 90 because like I knew that it would be a good card for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just back to the original thing. Like if cross market is not a thing, make everything tradable, and I feel like or we're doomed. Like in terms of like cards, like what I just don't get why there's so many primetime team of the weeks and things like that, and cards released when no one can get them. What is the
Yeah, and I also think it's a waste of resource. Like so, like following Fausto on Twitter, he tweets out the new daily content every single day, right? So they'll show up, and I see that there's like 50 new cards out on a Tuesday, and I'm thinking like they have a full-time employee doing that, right, every single day. Isn't that a waste of resources on June 23rd to have a guy in there doing that when you could be planning something for NHL 23?
Yeah, the content team works a little bit differently because the content team has to go all the way through to the new year. They have to.
So many though. Is there a need to have 50 cards out on a Tuesday?
No, there's not. It's just that's the format, right? So
I
the
know.
NHL
Come
EA
on,
just bombards you.
you're a multi-million-dollar company, EA Vancouver. Like, think progressively.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, let's talk a little bit about the GWC. Okay, so
Yeah,
I don't know if you watched this last weekend.
It was the Xbox
One.
One side. All right, who won?
Probably the I gotta be careful how I say this. The least exciting due to the players remaining because the writing was on the wall, I guess would be the way to say it. So Jose, who is widely considered one of the best players in North America and the world. I mean, he did beat Eki on LAN in Tampa Bay. So in the world, okay, Jose is one of the best. I'd probably say top 15 in the world, maybe even top 10. And the other two is Sasho and Lebanese Man. And they were both very good players. But you could kind of see that Jose was clearly going to win. And that's really how it played out. Lebanese man kind of stunned because I thought Sasha was actually someone who had been a little bit further in GWC before. Lebanese man had not been, and he's going to Montreal.
Dude, I have to be honest. This is the first time I'm ever hearing of the name Lebanese man.
That is
I've
the
never
issue with
heard.
the format, and
I've never heard of this.
yeah, like in a world where there was not 4 consoles, you probably don't see someone now. Actually, I mean, the last time that we had an event like this where 8 people made it to a LAN, I mean, 2019 there was a few people on US and Canada that qualified that,
Yeah, for sure.
and
I
that
think
that just
always how it
happens,
is.
right? That just
Yeah.
happens, right? He did play very well though, I will say that. But if his odds to win are plus 5,000, okay, at
Yeah.
LAN in Montreal, but I got to give him credit because he definitely, I think he beat Dangs, who's like a
Okay.
pretty good player. Like I believe it was him or it might have been Sasha. I can't remember, but like it's just how it goes with the four consoles. However, this weekend is the final qualifier. So right now we have 6 people that have qualified for the Montreal LAN. We've got Polgs and Sap Alien. We've got Uninstall and Geimer, and we've got Jose and Lebanese Man. And then there's 3 people left. There's Regs versus Gren, which is probably the best. Like maybe Polgs beats out one of them, but I still think that if you took a poll of the best 20 people or 20 people that are knowledgeable of the game, who you would say is number 1 and number 2, it's probably still Regs and Gren.
It's 100%. I don't care what anybody else says. That's
Yeah,
the
that's right. I
two best
like
players.
we talked about this before. Like Polgs had a year like Regs has, where he's won everything, but he hasn't done like this. Because like the GWC is he still has to win the biggest one, right? Where
Yeah.
Regs did the exact same thing, didn't win the biggest one, and everyone forgets about the year where he literally didn't lose anything. So I can understand that they have to be unseeded first. So those 2 are gonna play, and then the loser of that has got to play Aves. Clearly the odd man out. Aves is a very good player, and he's gotten a lot better as the year went on. I think that he reminds me a lot of Geimer last year, where as the year went along, he became a little bit more of a serious opponent. And then like right near GWC, he made it one step before LAN last year, or the online whatever it was, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He lost to Drew, and that might have been the year before. But regardless, anyways, he came very close. And so you've got Aves. If Aves is one of the people that goes to Montreal, that might be one of the biggest upsets ever in the GWC.
I think so. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So this weekend it's going to be a really really good series. I would, if you are not big in NHL esports, you haven't followed along the GWC, I would definitely watch Saturday because you'll get a series no matter what. It's a best of 3 between Regs and Gren. The winner of that will go to Montreal, and then the loser of that has got to play a best of 3 against Aves to go to Montreal. But what's crazy is that because PS5 was so hard, right? There is going to be, let's assume that it's Regs and Gren. The loser of that is going to be in the bottom section. So that means one of the console winners first round in Montreal is going to be Regs or Gren, and that sucks.
So are we gonna know how the Montreal bracket will be after Saturday?
I want to say yes, and this is something I want to talk about. Like again, like what I want to see. There is I've gotten to see the behind the scenes this year with GWC being in the head broadcaster role of it, and talking with the people that are running the tournament. I have a lot of optimism for the tournament next year. I think they are going to try. I don't want to say one more year, but they are gonna do their due diligence and really try and go all out on this next year event. And communication is something that I'm gonna try and stress that needs to happen for the player base. And I would love to see what's gonna happen. Who, if we're gonna be able to see and know. But the one thing I think though is I think the first round. So the 8 people that go to Montreal, right? You can't have all 8 people play on stream on the live finals. That's a 6-hour stream. Just you're not going to keep the excitement up. The viewers aren't going to watch that whole thing. You just can't do that. It's not good. So I think they'll do what they did with the Euros, where the first day, the day before, they'll do the quarterfinals, where it's like, so there's 4 people that'll be eliminated, and you won't get to see them play. You'll see highlights. You'll see a highlight package that DreamHack will put together, and DreamHack's been great at those. But you won't get to see that. So you'll know the day of, I believe. Actually, I don't even know because technically that's off. It'll be leaked, unfortunately. I'm sure one of the kids will tweet it out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you'll know who this. But I hope that that's communicated. We'll see. But I can't
I am
wait.
excited though for next week. We get to do, at least I don't know about you, but I'll do my GWC prediction
I will as well too. I'll.
for the bracket.
I don't want to like spoiler alert. Like once I see the series out, like we'll again not discrediting Aves, but if it's Regs and Gren, they're gonna play at least 4 games against each other, and like that it could be enough to sway me. I don't know, dude. Part of me thinks it's like Jose. He's gross, man, and
Dude,
like
I was talking to somebody recently, and I was like, I think Regs is clearly the best player, but then they brought up a good point that I didn't think about is the fact that Gren just has McDavid, and in that
yeah,
setting, it's just almost not fair.
it is, dude. So in the Euros, I don't remember who it was that had McDavid. But I called one of the games. I remember watching it, being like, "Good lord!" Like like the second you go down the wing and versus, there's a reason why you have to tune down McDavid's card to the launch of Hut. And it is pretty wild. But yeah, I'm excited. This is where things are really gonna start to heat up. And again, if you haven't watched NHL esports, I really stress that give it a shot. If you play the game enough, you listen to this podcast, you have enough of a love for NHL. Okay. I hate to break it to you. I know that me and Kesso maybe is entertaining a duo on the planet, but you have an interest in Hut. Give it a watch, man, and it's gonna be really fun to see, especially the land too. Like I'm excited for Montreal. It's gonna be a really fun time.
Yeah.
Do we get into Kenobi now? We're 36 minutes in.
This is what I've been waiting for. I mean, the NHL stuff I don't care about.
All right, boys. Spoiler alert: we are going to talk about the Kenobi series. If you are Star Wars fans, or if you're not a Star Wars fan, skip over this if you haven't watched Kenobi. All right, we'll let you know when it ends. All right, I'll go like this if you're watching the video. I'll wave my hand so that you can like skim through and be like, okay, I'm not talking about it anymore. All right, so big Star Wars fans, both of us. I think I'm a little bit bigger of a
You
nerd.
are because you've like read the books and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. Let's get your initial thoughts on Kenobi from the start to the end. Your perception change?
It didn't change. So
Oh,
from the start to the end, I would rate it about a 5 out of 10.
okay. At the start too, eh?
Yeah, at the start, I thought Riva could have been a good character. Um, the writing in the show was terrible, right? So I kind of felt bad for the actress because I just thought that character was awful. Not enough Kenobi stuff in a short 6 episode series called Kenobi. I thought Leia, that actress, she did a great job. She was one of my favorite parts of the show.
I agree.
I thought some of the CGI was terrible.
Hmm.
I thought some of the action was not good at all.
Really?
Um, I thought the show was 80 to 90% bad, mixed with 10 to 20% really cool moments.
Okay.
The stuff you wanted to see. But that's my reaction to it. That I don't know if you agree with that or not.
So I think the first 2, maybe 3 episodes, my perception was really high on it, because of like the anticipation, and I was so curious to see how they would end it. And the problem doing a show like this is that the start and the end you already know. So
Yeah,
you're filling in stuff that has to be exciting. The fans don't know, that gives you like the oh my god moment, like So I'll give you an example. Early on in the first episode, again the nerd in me, Obi-Wan goes and delivers this little model airplane, this model spaceship to Kenobi, to Luke, and then Owen gives it back because Owen, like you see the dynamic that Owen hates Obi-Wan Kenobi, and like I love that because I remember in episode 4, Luke's literally in his hut playing with that ship.
it's the
So
same
like
exact one. That
yeah,
was really cool.
that's cool. Like so,
That's really cool.
I was like, okay, that's a big fan service thing. I'm excited to see what other bigger moments, because I figured there would be a big moment that tied in something that you wouldn't have anticipated. As it went along, there is no Luke, and I feel like that was a misdirection of the show, because it's on what you thought was going to happen was your Kenobi, and it was like dealing with something on Tatooine, and it's involving Luke. You got none of that. Luke's screen time was probably less than 5 minutes of the entire show. Okay, so that's a big misdirect. The Leia character wasn't even built. I don't think anyone realized that. I will say this: the Leia character and how good she was really gave more depth to Princess Leia in 4, 5, and 6, because there's none of that. There is literally nothing in any other, maybe a little bit in Star Wars Rebels, the animated show, but you have, and again, that's kind of like a nerdier thing. So if you just watch the movies, right, you have Rogue One, and you see her 5 seconds before Episode 4 starts. That's it. And you see her basically be born in Episode 3. So the Leia character was really cool to see the dynamic. and realize that she knows Ben, like she knows Obi-Wan before, and like there's now now there's an understanding as to why Leia goes like you're our only hope kind of thing, right? So I thought that was cool. But yeah, no Luke. I hated that. Um, the
I didn't
Reva.
mind that part because I was kind of like I didn't mind that they subverted the expectations, I guess you could say, and went with Leia because the expectation was he would be on Tatooine doing something
And
like saving Luke,
I'm
right?
wondering, I am wondering if because of Mandalorian and Boba Fett, we literally got so much Tatooine in the last 3 years.
Well, that's been the joke, right? It's like every Star Wars story has to take place on. There's only
It's the
one
coolest
planet.
planet. Like I would have, but like that's so part of me thinks that like maybe that was an issue. Like they can't just.
I'll go with Coruscant as the coolest planet. Oh, by the way, we got to see the live, another additional scene there between Anakin and Obi-Wan flashback, like at the Attack of the Clone era.
Yeah,
I
the
think it's
really cool.
episode
Like
four or
again,
five.
that was really cool. Yeah, so like them like dueling or whatever, like in like
Yeah.
yeah, that was really good. I think, but the issue I have with how it ended is you could not watch Kenobi and be completely okay. It literally ends with him beating him somehow, Vader, after the whole series is built showing Vader being this absolutely menacing, like insanely powerful, which is key because in episode 4, 5, and 6, he's literally just a henchman. You don't really get the sense that you don't understand how powerful he actually is. And other than Rogue One, again, Rogue One has a lot at the end of Rogue One that it probably moves the story along more than any other like Star Wars thing because he just goes into that one ship and just starts murdering everyone in that hallway of Rogue One. And in this show, you see him like, dude, like snaps a dude's neck and then like basically chokes out a kid or something.
Right in
Like,
front of his kid.
yeah, like it was wild. And then
Oh, and
like
then him pulling down that ship
that
with
was
the Force.
sick. That
Yeah.
was sick. So, and again, like you see how powerful he is. But then it's like, dude, you you end up Obi-Wan somehow manages to get all of his force power back, which is okay, cool, good moment, right? But like how does it not end with like it ends the exact same way as episode 3 to an extent. It's just not as brutal as him burning in the lobby. Like he beat the piss out of him and he's like
Yeah.
down on one knee. Vader looks like it just like he got his
Which
ass
was
kicked.
great dialogue in that scene. I thought the writing overall was
I
bad in
knew
this
that
show,
was
but that
coming.
scene.
I knew when
Yeah.
I saw them, I'm like, dude, he's gonna slash his head or something because Hayden Christensen's literally the actor, and it's
Oh, and
like,
then another cool thing about the show, though, cool thing, right?
mhm.
The 10 to 20% cool stuff. That scar, I guess, that he gives him where he slashes him on the head is later, and you see it in like
Yep,
episode 5 whenever his helmet's coming down.
yep, yeah. And again, like there is some nice like moments like that, but it literally ends the exact same way as 3. It doesn't do anything for their dynamic. So there's a few things that the only thing that we have other than episode 3 and episode 4 is their like 10-second lightsaber battle, which is awful if you watch it again in episode 4 from the 70s. And
Oh, yeah.
there's like lines in there, and I don't have them off the top of my head. I was reading something and I just watched a clip of it again.
Like whenever I left you were the
Yeah,
mat.
like there was
I
a
was the
things
ladder.
and like you legitimately could have done that stuff, and then that would have made sense. But like it's just it's like Vader is the most menacing person on the galaxy right now, and he literally beats the crap out of Reva, doesn't kill her. She like somehow it's like he like doesn't
That pissed
look.
me off.
Dude doesn't
Why
look.
would he not kill her?
Yeah.
He's killing children out
Yeah,
there.
that's what
He
doesn't
wouldn't
make any
kill
sense.
her.
He leaves her alive to basically just prolong the character. Like they're just,
Yeah.
and I think that kind of sucks.
You want to know my biggest nitpick of the show, and it's a small thing.
What's that?
So I think it was like episode 2. Vader's fighting Obi-Wan. Vader wanted to torture him. He wanted to drag him through that fire and torture him.
Crazy creepy
Last
moment.
the last fight, he throws about 3 to 5 rocks on him and walks away.
Yeah.
Why? He wanted to torture him 4 episodes earlier. Now he's like, oh, I guess he's dead. Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the strongest Jedi ever. I guess
You have a
he's dead
huge
now.
tie to him. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can sense when he's
He was gonna
around.
walk away. That made no sense.
It was really like that. Yeah, like it just there was not enough done in it. It was cool fan service. And it adds to like the Skywalker saga. But man, like I don't know. Like it was a disappointing from a hardcore Star Wars fan standpoint, I think that's like the takeaway I have from it. It's just like there was other stuff that I would have rather seen And the Qui-Gon thing was cool at the end, even though Liam Neeson said he'd never do a TV show. Thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. How he looks so much older than he did whenever he was,
Yeah, I
20,
know. Yeah, I know. I know. It's
25 years ago.
it's a long time ago, bro.
You expected him to show up considering he was calling out to him like the whole show, right?
Yeah, and Liam Neeson literally said, "I'll never do a TV show."
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, bro, like we get it. Like like you probably got the bag for that 6 seconds. But
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like the Reva character, it, I, I I love that it's a youngling that survived. That was sweet.
That was cool too. See, that's my issue. It's all cool things,
Yeah.
just done really poorly.
Mm-hmm.
There was something that showed up. I saw this like clip on. It might have been on like Reddit or something. It was about George Lucas, and he was saying he's like, "Well, people fail to understand is like Star Wars is for kids, you know." So then me and you are sitting here,
Oh yeah.
30, we're like, da, 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 da. And I have to tell myself that sometimes
Mm-hmm.
just because it's like watching that. But I still don't think that should excuse it from being like as good as it could be.
No,
Because
absolutely
I think
not.
The Mandalorian is perfect.
Mandalorian is legitimately a space western. Like it
Yeah.
is done so different than every other Star Wars thing. And that and Boba Fett are phenomenal. It's like they don't pander to kids. Other than
See,
like
you and I disagree a little bit on Boba Fett. I didn't really care for it too much. I liked it. It was better than Kenobi, maybe.
again, I was like so obsessed with Star Wars that
Yeah.
there's Boba Fett is like it always bothered me that he was like the most famous character in Star Wars, yet he legitimately has 45 seconds in 4, 5, and 6. And
Yep.
somehow he's like this like just everyone's favorite character. So
Looks so badass, you
yeah,
know?
so seeing that was really cool, and then seeing what happened after episode 6, they do a really good job of that. Like after what happens on Tatooine with the Sarlacc pit and all of that, they did a really good job. All of the hut stuff, like I thought that as again maybe that's like the nerdy part of it, but like I thought that they did some pretty cool things, and not to mention like dude, riding the Rancor and stuff, like it was just really cool, over the top. But I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think these shows, like, if you're only doing 6 episodes, you have to keep like a super like hyper focused storyline, and they're trying to do too much in such
they went
short
9 different places in Kenobi. It
in
was
6 episodes. And these episodes aren't an hour long. They were like 40 minutes.
yeah. I think there is a second season, or at least it's rumored.
I would assume so.
Part of me is like, I don't want that because it's got to be on Tatooine. If he leaves again, then it's like it's
But if you do a second season, like I don't think there should be any more Vader in a Kenobi show. Like it ended fine. Like leave that relationship where it is, and then they don't see each other until episode
it
4.
did advance Vader a lot though. Like Vader definitely looks way more menacing than.
He's the best part of the shows and the movies all the time now.
Mhm,
Like his little scene in Rogue One, like him in
mhm.
this. Some of those comics that they came out with that I like read about and stuff.
Yep.
Like
No, yeah, they
uh,
do a really good job of making him showing why he's so powerful, like why he's like the,
yeah,
you know. But nonetheless, yeah, I think that it was a little disappointing, and we'll see. I'm excited for the High Republic era. I've listened to my first audiobook, by the way. That's
oh
something
yeah,
I guess.
well,
So I went to GCX. Did we have a podcast? No. So I went to GCX. Oh, so not only did I go away this last weekend with my wife for her 30th birthday, I legitimately went to Orlando right after GWC last weekend to go to Gaming Community Expo, which is run by the guys that host our podcast, Rare Drop, and so I got to see them. And they do a Star Wars podcast called Star Wars and Scotch, and they actually had a panel talking about Star Wars, and one of the people was Mark Thompson, who is actually like the audiobook voice of the series called Thrawn. And when Thrawn becomes a TV show or whatever, he is gonna be like he is one of the coolest like characters in the Star Wars universe. He's only in like Rebels and a little bit of like Clone Wars, like the animated stuff, and then books. So you don't people that just watch the movies have no idea who Thrawn is.
I
Um,
should watch Rebels.
Rebels is it's quick, and I believe if you Google it, there's episodes. If you just picked out these certain episodes, you would get all the meat of it.
Okay. Well, they have
Especially
the same thing. I didn't watch Clone Wars, and they have like a this is what you should watch if you just want to watch the story.
exactly, yeah, same thing. Because there's a lot. There's like 4 seasons, so it's a lot. But it is pretty cool. And but yeah, so the audio author or the audio reader was on the panel, and then there was a couple other people that I believe there was the 2 people that do Star Wars Explained, which is like they go in depth to every piece of Star Wars content. It's a couple, and they're amazing at it. But they've got like hundreds of thousands of subscribers on YouTube. I got to listen to them talk, but then so when Mark Thompson was talking, and I found out that he was the guy who reads the Thrawn books. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give an audiobook a shot because I think I have ADD. I've never been diagnosed with it, but I have a really hard time reading books. Like I'll read it and then like there'll be a page where I'll literally just think about other stuff and I have to go back and read the entire page. So like I have a hard time reading a book that isn't something I'm super interested in. So I was like, you know what? Sure, I'll give it a try. So the High Republic era is like the best era of Star Wars, but the only thing that we've had so far is the Knights of the Republic game, and we talked about our 5 favorite games of all time. Knights of the Republic is one of mine, like top 2. It's one of the best, and not just like the game itself, but the story in it of Star Wars. And they're next. The Skywalker saga is done. Disney's now going to do a show, I believe, and it comes. I don't know when it comes out, but it's in the High Republic era, which is I think is like 200 years before Skywalker. So I started reading the first book on it, and reading an audio or listening to an audiobook, it's not just someone reading it. The voice actor in this one specifically does different voices for like when certain characters are talking, which is a nice little like, and then there'll be like sounds. So like when he talks about like a lightsaber fight, you hear the lightsaber go off, and like I was like, I'm like, this is a little bit better than reading a. So like I'm all about it now. If it's not like a, if it's not a nonfiction book, like if it's a fiction book, like I 100% I would recommend Audible. But yeah, I'm like almost it's 12 hours, and I don't know how many pages it is. It's called Into the Dark, I believe. It's the first one in the High Republic series. It's not a very good story. I'm not gonna lie.
Is that part of the legacy one?
No, so this is Star Wars canon. Like this is like
This is
legitimately,
canon now, like Disney era.
this is what Disney is considering canon.
Okay.
Which was huge because when Knights of the Republic got announced that they were doing a remake, it made KOTOR canon.
Okay.
And they mention Revan. And I believe, maybe I'm wrong, but there's a part of Rise of Skywalker or the Last Jedi, whatever the hell it's called, the 9th one, where they're showing like Sith Lords or whatever, and like Revan's mask like gets flashed. And maybe I'm just tripping, but Revan is the main bad guy in KOTOR.
Okay.
And the story's so good, but yeah. So I Audible books, guys. I would recommend. I actually don't mind it at all.
Yeah, I have like 7 or 8 credits on Audible
Yep.
that I was like thinking like I got to get something because I listened to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on an audiobook, and that was great. That was entertaining.
Yeah, like I didn't think I thought it was just some guy reading the words.
No, dude, sometimes they get like I read the Matthew McConaughey book that he came out with like last year, which was amazing, but there's an audiobook version of it and he does the reading.
Oh, that's different. Matthew McConaughey talking is the best.
Voice. Yeah.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Okay, last thing I want to talk about, new games. So 2022 might be the worst year for video game releases in, I don't want to say the history of like, or maybe the last decade. And the reason why is every good game got pushed back, other than Elden Ring. And for a lot of people, Elden Ring is not FromSoft is like, they make Dark Souls games, and those are not for everybody. It's like if you work 9 to 5, not a lot of you want to go home and play one of the hardest games in the history of video games, right? So, like myself, I don't like. I bought Elden Ring. I played about 3 hours of it. It's hard, and that makes it kind of fun. But I'm like, nah, dude. Like I'm not struggling in every single aspect of the game. But that is one of the biggest games out. But outside of that, dude, there has not been anything, and there's not going to be either, which is like another big issue. But that being said, there is a few games that have come out or have been out that I've been really super intrigued in. One of them is called Star Citizen, bro. So I've been watching this. One of the guys that is he again owns Rare Drop in Kings Coast, and his name's Tim. He's one of the biggest Facebook streamers there is. And dude, I didn't realize the scope of this game. So you get your own ship and you can do like space combat like against other people's ships and whatnot. You land on space stations. You fly to planets. The scope of this game is massive, and I didn't realize. You get off of it and like it's like first person, like guns, all that stuff. And I've been watching him play it, and I feel like it's a game where you have to play hundreds of hours. But I have played it enough, and he has done a good enough job being like this is a good game, and I've been watching it enough where I'm like, I got to give this thing a shot because it looks sweet, dude. There's a guy who is an architect, and he's got 500,000 subs, and he literally reviews from an architectural standpoint all of the ships in Star Citizen.
It has that big of a following,
dude. It's huge, and so I watched. I went down the rabbit hole. And it was like the A35 super yacht, and it's like the most expensive ship you can buy in Star Citizen, and it's like 200 feet long, and he goes into detail, and you can see, dude. I could imagine owning it in this game, and it is one of the coolest things. Like, it is massive, and it looks like it's like marble floors and like all. It's just really cool. Like, I don't know. I thought it was really uniquely done. I don't know if maybe there isn't a lot of substance to it, and maybe that's
Yeah.
why it isn't that gigantic yet. I don't know when it came out, to be honest with you.
I saw something here referencing like there's like it's showing like the size of the ships in the game, and it
Yeah,
says like October 2018. So I don't know if it
it
came out
could
a
be an
few.
old game. I mean, like Tarkov.
It's
Tarkov
still,
didn't
I think
explode.
it's still in development though. It's
A
like one of
lot
those
of
type.
games are like that. It'll be like beta, because if so for anyone that doesn't know, if a game stays in beta or alpha, they don't have to report to the it's like finishing your house. So if you finish your basement, you have to pay tax on owning your basement, on having a completely finished house. So if you notice a lot of people, maybe your friends have it at your own house, if you're younger, you'll notice that you don't have ceilings in your roof on some part of your basement. That's why. So like same thing in video games. You don't have to, if you're not, once you develop a game and release it fully, you have to pay like a whole other thing. Like you have to report like completely different. So like Tarkov, for example, has been in development for like 7 years. PUBG is the most famous one. Like
Yeah, I
PUBG,
was thinking of that one.
yeah,
Is that still in beta?
no, because when it released on console, you have to be fully good to go, right? So it allows you to do, you don't have to do certain things for like revenue. And I think that Star Citizen's like that. Did you see the thing for Starfield, the new Bethesda game?
I did watch that. Yeah.
Bro, dude, that looks good.
Dude, I think it looks good. The only thing is like the combat looks a little wonky.
Mhm.
Um, but it looks like No Man's Sky with like an actual game behind
It
it.
looks like Fallout, bro, in space. Like
Yeah.
you build your own space facilities, you build your own ship. I'm
It's
all
gonna be a
about
sink like, 50 to 100 hours and.
100%, man. And apparently there's 1,000 planets. Like
How many do you think are like handcrafted?
what I
10 to
think
10
what I
to 12?
think is they probably have an algorithm where it's like they
Yeah,
just
it's
randomly
yeah,
generate buildings and stuff. But like you land and it's like the same kind of enemies on each place.
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think
dude,
that would be the case.
that's not out until what, 2023 or 24?
It's 2023, I believe. But
So
like
that means the next, and I don't know if you played the Outer Scrolls games like Skyrim or anything,
I played Skyrim.
but that means Outer Scrolls 6 is probably going to be out in like 2027.
Yeah, they said oh my god, in it I think it went Starfield, then Elder Scroll, or like the new Elder Scrolls game, and then uh Fallout.
Fallout. Yeah.
They're
So
all in
that's gonna
development.
be.
They're all in
We
development.
might be dead.
That's it. What?
So we might be dead by the time those come out.
But dude, the scope of those things. Dude, can you imagine what Grand Theft Auto 6 is gonna look like?
No, because I don't think it'll ever come out at this point.
Dude, like, bro, Grand Theft Auto 5, I don't think I truly appreciated what the scope of that game, because I never played online, and I really am sad that I did not play online, because it felt like a game where, like, like it came out on PS3 and I didn't play the online version of it, and I feel like I was just like 3 years too late to like start playing online. But I would
Yeah,
love to see what it's like, because I think that in the future when they release that it's going to be even better, maybe. But
I would think so. GTA Online was a lot of fun.
mhm.
It got better as it, went along.
Yeah,
They're still adding things, I think.
yeah. Oh, it's gigantic. Like,
Yeah, it is. But dude, it came out, I think it was 9 years ago.
yep.
And there's still not a new Grand Theft Auto.
No, the dude. Why would you like worry about the cost of making it? Because the problem is when you make such a banger game, the next one needs to be better.
Yeah.
And it's not like a movie, because like a movie, I feel like it's just a 2-hour script, right? Obviously, very difficult, and you still have to do that. But like a video game, the scale of what Grand Theft Auto is insane. Like it's just
I would think the two, I forget, I think it's Dan Houser maybe. There's like another guy that's been like the creator of Grand Theft Auto for, I don't know how, since it started, right?
okay.
Those guys are close to billionaires now, maybe. They're probably worth
Yep.
$200-300 million because they
Mhm.
started the studio. At some point, that desire has to die down a
That's
little
what happened
bit too, right?
oh my god, the guy who wrote Game of Thrones. He got lazy at the very end. He didn't write it. Yeah, like
That's a whole other issue, right?
yeah. But so the other game I want to talk about though, so Tarkov is another game I love, and they're doing a wipe where they wipe everyone's account and they reset the world. They put all the new stuff in on the new patch, and it's crazy because you'd be like, dude, you just did all this work and now you lose it all. But for whatever reason, the system works. But there's a new game called Cycle Frontier, and it's like a space version of it, and a little bit more arcadey feel. It's not so like insanely tactical. Like Tarkov's got to be the closest thing to a combat simulator there is in the world.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit closer to like not I want to say Fortnite. It's not that cartoony, but it's along the same lines, right? It looks like you're playing Mass Effect to an example, but so I'm excited to play that. And I believe it's free to play as a battle pass system to it, but like I'm excited to try that out a little bit in the summer. But the last game, so me and Skylar went away for my wife's 30th birthday this last weekend. Went to a cottage, got a really nice cottage where I used to have one on a place called Turkey Point, and loved it out there. It's beautiful. Cottage was really good. Airbnb was really cheap for some reason, and the cottage was awesome. We got to take Summer in the water for the first time. Our dog, she
Nice.
loved it, bro. Like I was a little nervous because shepherds either love it or they don't. And no, like she like bit the waves for a second, and then just started. She didn't swim. She just jumped. She just kept jumping. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but like this feels right. Like so, anyways, she really liked it, but. The one day it was like kind of crappy outside. So I brought my Xbox, and what I did was I downloaded the Quarry right before I left because I was like, this might be somewhat fun to play. So the Quarry is a game that reminds me a lot of like Until Dawn. There's very little gameplay. It is not difficult. It basically is all choices. And I'm not gonna lie, like there's probably 200 choices in this 12 to 15 hour game. Maybe even longer. It might have been a 20-hour game. We grinded it the one day, man, because it was so bad outside that we like didn't leave. And you can let your wife play or your significant other play, and we had a blast, man. We went through this whole thing, and it's like a camp. Your kids at a camp, like and you know your last day at the camp, you accidentally get stuck there, and then there's just like I said, there's like 200 choices, and they all impact if certain people are gonna die or live, and there's like any sort of combination of people that can live in the story, and it's really funny what you end up with because like certain decisions can just completely kill 3 characters. Like there's a sequence where we literally killed 3 people. We were trying to like we didn't want to kill anyone, but there was a sequence where like we literally killed 3 people in the span of 30 seconds, all because of like one decision. We're like, like we like couldn't stop it. Like once it started, like it was really fun. But I would. It's $80. I would not recommend if you were just gonna buy it to play it. I would if you have a significant other, 1,000% buy it and play it because it is a
There are different games that you can play with your wife. I
it is
saw. I
yeah.
think it was OG Kevin Bacon was having a good time with that game.
Yeah, like it's funny to stream, bro. Like it was
Yeah.
hilarious because it is scary. It's a horror movie. There's a lot of jump scares in it, but it was really good, man. Totally recommend that for anyone. The price tag is too high if you're just gonna play it though. Like I legitimately I don't want to say like only if you have a girlfriend or a wife or something. No, like if you have a significant other, 1,000% because I think that it's a hilarious 12 to 15 hours.
They had an actor in that game that I liked. He was in a. I don't know
All
if you ever watched
all of
the
them
show.
are famous actors. Like all the
All
characters
of
are
them.
legit. Like David Arquette is like one of the main
Oh,
guys.
David Arquette's in the movie or in
Hmm.
the game.
Yeah,
Oh shit. Okay.
yeah. Ethan Suplee is. Um, that might be the only one you know. There was a couple that my wife knew that I didn't.
He was in the Righteous Gemstones on HBO.
And he
He's younger.
lost all his weight, and he became jacked. You gotta look at. You'll know exactly who Ethan Suplee is right when you look him up. I guarantee you. Ethan, yeah, Ethan Suplee. Suplee. You'll know exactly who he is. I think.
Oh, this dude
Yeah,
from what
he
was it? Not
lost
my.
all his weight and he got jacked, and he looks like that in the game. It's hilarious. Like it's great. They did a really good job of it.
He's huge. Like he's
Yeah,
huge in a good way.
yeah. He used to be the fat guy in every movie, and now he's jacked.
What in the world? I can't believe this is him.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. But yeah,
Yeah,
again, so
yeah,
the Quarry, guys, I would definitely recommend checking that out. All right, our top 5, bro. All right, we're an
yeah.
hour in.
Order.
Our top 5 worst NHL games. This is ranked. Our ranking in order. Do you want to make any changes
Do I want to make any
to
changes?
your list?
No, I'm confident with my list.
I am confident as well. Okay. I will go
Okay.
first. My number 5 is NHL 13. The reason is, and you might not remember this, guys, again, so I do something every year where I go back and play every single NHL game before the new one comes out. And I don't know what it is. It's like the game hits an absolute wall and all of the skating makes no sense. You go like it just feels absolutely awful. And the one thing I also want to mention about this list is we're talking about year over year. Because you can't really compare a sports game 7 years in ahead. Like NHL 22 is better than almost every NHL game just based on graphics. Like if you wouldn't play NHL 06 over 222. I'm sorry, you won't. Like you just won't, right? So we're talking about year over year. When you go back and play 12, 12 actually had a really nice graphical bump, and I believe that was the outdoor classic games that came in and
11
whatnot.
was the Winter Classic. 12 they added because I'm a fucking nerd.
Yeah,
12 they added I think the loose puck on the slap shot.
Yes,
where
yes,
whenever you
yes.
wound up, you weren't connected to the puck.
Yes, exactly. And then 13
That's
just did not
exactly what I
really have
remember.
a big improvement to it. And when you go back and play the skating, it's just absolutely atrocious. I don't know what happened because NHL the very next year is one of the best games, and I don't know what happened in 13. But that's my number 5.
I'm going with another game from that era
Okay.
because I think 11 through 13 weren't that good, but I'm going NHL 11.
Okay.
And the reason I'm doing that, NHL 09 introduced EASHL. NHL 10 might have had the best gameplay from that era of games, besides maybe NHL 14. NHL 11 went super arcadey, and you would have like a 6v6 game, and like one team would have like 60 hits, 70
Yeah.
hits. It wasn't good, and it kind of regressed from like what NHL 10 was. Um, I forget if that was the year that they added people falling down. That might have been NHL 13, like just skaters like
They just fell down. Yeah.
yeah. So NHL 11 was bad.
All right. My number 4 all time worst NHL game is NHL 22. And the games ahead of it are real bad, and it's the only way that it didn't make it higher on my list. So, again, you have to, when you compare a sports video game, not just NHL, when you compare a sports video game because they're yearly, you have to go year over year. How much improvement did you get in that game to spend $80 to buy it brand new? And we went back and we had 4 separate player bases, which meant 4 separate markets. All they did was add an X Factors, and I personally don't think X Factors are all that great of an addition to the game. I feel like they were thrown in because they didn't have a lot that they could actually put in and back of the box features that we talk about. They just kind of grabbed what Madden did and threw it in, and I don't think it played well for NHL. There was a couple of good things they did with like the tier system and HUT specifically, and they did do some decent changes for ESHL. But I just think that it's one of the worst year over year games that we've had, and yeah, it's my number 4.
My number 4, I'm gonna take your number 5, NHL 13.
Okay.
I think 3 games were bad, but I think 2 stood out. 13 was just like, dude, it was slow.
It's bad.
NHL
It's
12
so
was very-
slow, dude.
It was the NHL 18 of that
Yep.
years. So I don't think there's too much more to say. NHL 13 wasn't that good.
Okay, my number 3, NHL 18. NHL 18 was the last year, I believe, of the in HUT specifically, of that the event collectibles, the specific event collectibles, which is an awful system. They also, I believe, NHL 18 was the year where the Ruby and Ice cards were in the game, which effectively ruined it. That might have been 19. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm almost positive it was 18. But regardless of that, they had a new skating engine where, dude, turning literally felt like you threw up a sail and you were just turning this massive sailboat. Not only that, it is. People can say skill zoning has been around for forever. Skill zoning started in NHL 18. It was the worst experience you could possibly have. If you put your defensive pressure to all-out attack, all-out aggressiveness, your AI would go and pressure the puck carrier and pin them up along the boards automatically, which led to possibly the worst gaming experience that I have ever had online. And I was actually pretty good at 18. It was one of my better years, but good Lord, if you go back and play it now, it is terrible.
It was an awful game.
It was bad. What's your number 3?
NHL 18.
Let's go!
Sorry, NHL 22 is my number 3.
Okay, sorry.
NHL 22 is my number 3.
Wow, it's higher.
Yeah, it is. So it's better than NHL 18.
Okay.
Um,
I will admit that, yeah.
Yeah, year over year, the improvement sucked. I think there's so many things outside of the gameplay. Like I think if the gameplay was what it is and the rest of the game worked, it'd be okay. But we went through like weeks at a time where you'd desync from games,
Dude.
And
that patch in December, I completely forgot about.
So NHL 22 is number 3.
Okay. All right. My number 2, NHL 15.
New gen.
New gen, yes. New gen NHL 15. No ESHL. Huh?
One is at this point.
What?
I said I'm really wondering what your number 1 is. I'm excited.
You would not know this unless you did what I did.
Okay.
So yeah, NHL 15, god awful. Obviously, in the fact that year over year, like there would be, if you did not play HUT, or you just played Versus, I guess you'd be okay. But no ESHL after years of that. There was no GM Connected, right? That was taken out.
Everything was taken out except HUT and Versus.
Yes. So that, like I said, when you compare year over year game, I actually didn't mind the gameplay in it. I think the gameplay of NHL 15 on New Gen actually played half decently. I was pretty good at versus in NHL 15.
It was such a weird game because I don't know if you remember, you can hold in like the right stick and your players would like do like sharp angle like protecting the puck animations,
Yeah.
and it was possible to knock people off the puck.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what, and that's in the era before the defensive skill stick, which is just weird. It's weird to go back and play that. But yeah, that is my number 2.
My number 2 is NHL 18. I spelled it, but yeah.
Yep. Okay.
NHL 18 is my number 2. The gameplay was abysmal. It was
Mm-hmm.
slow. And then the skill zoning was awful.
Dude, people complain about it now, and I just feel like they didn't play 18 as much,
Yeah.
maybe because, dude, like there was no way around it. Like you could literally just sit in the middle and have your AI attack the puck, and people be like, dude, you can do that now. The AI doesn't, because of NHL 18. The AI will not attack the puck. They will not actually. They will not actually knock the puck off of like an opponent's stick by itself. It'll run in and like if like it's clunky if you run into an AI like you'll lose it right on contact, but your AI will not like go and automatically check it off or pin people up along the boards like that's all because or they won't take penalties either. Well,
Before you do your number 1, I have a question.
mm-hmm.
So the last time we got a game as bad as NHL 18 was probably this year in terms of just the game.
Yeah, year over year.
EA followed up. NHL 19 was really good.
It
NHL
was good.
20 was really good, in my opinion. Do you think there's a chance we get back to that fun factor?
So I've said this for like the last 2 years now, and I even had like a tweet that got memed. But I think that the year after that we get cross console will be the best NHL ever. Better than 14, better than any game that we have ever had. I think that it'll be the year in a decade where we're like, man, remember how good NHL 24 was? I truly believe that. So I don't think it'll be next year. I think next year we get the dude, it wouldn't surprise me if it's like, yeah, we're getting cross console and it's like an update in December. But like I feel like next year I have no faith that cross console will work if it's actually implemented. I don't think that we'll get cross market. I don't think we'll have any big overhaul changes in any of the modes in Hut. So it's still going to be rivals, Hut Rush, squad battles, repeat, and maybe we get leaderboards or something like that. Not enough year over year to make it worth it. But the year after that cross console is in and it works, I will stand by my proclamation that will be the best NHL video game we'll ever have. Year
All
over year.
right. So I'm excited. What's this number 1? It's
All
going to be like NHL 96.
Okay, so the worst game, and again, this is all perception and all obvious opinion. But if you go and play every NHL game, like I've done, almost, I think this will be my 4th time doing it. NHL 97 on PlayStation 1 is the worst game. Like there is no way you should have been charged money. So the reason why it's on PlayStation 1 is so PlayStation 1 was the first year where it was polygons. So they got away from like the NHL 94 model. And it did not add anything new. The menus were so poor and pixelated. Like again, this was an advancement in technology that probably at the time people were like, "Oh my god, look how lifelike this is." Dude, you could not even when you go back to old games and you look at the crowd and like this flat like layer and it's like little dots that are supposed to be the head. That's what the players looked like. Trying to play this game on again, you don't play it on 1080p. You can't play on 1080p. But I have like a connector that literally will play it the way it's intended on PlayStation 1. And it is absolutely abysmal. So I went and played NHL 97 on Sega, which is the best Sega was the best console for sports games in terms of performance and how they played, better than Super Nintendo. And I went and played NHL 97, and it was the same style as like NHL 94, 95, and it played smooth. And there was like franchise mode, and you can make trades and expansion mode and all this stuff. And then NHL 98 is where it really took off, like the NHL franchise. That's like one of the first games I remember. NHL 98 is like incredible year over year. It's like it'd be one of the best. But yeah, NHL 97 on PlayStation 1, one of the worst. They tried, failed. Like that's it. That's the only way you can say.
Yeah. My number 1 was, you already mentioned NHL 15 new gen. Nothing was in the game. They eventually did patch in.
I'm surprised. I forgot how much you're into ESHL though back then. Because
Yeah, that's what I mainly played. I did that in like money games.
yeah, like I'm surprised because I didn't think that ESHL. I didn't play a lot of ESHL. I think 2 years I did with my buddies, and it was a blast. But like I didn't get big into it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun back then, and it's surprised. Like most people know me now, just know me from right now. But like I, mainly played EASHL.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So 15 would definitely be really bad for you. Dude, could you imagine like they just wipe out a mode? Like,
Wipeout World of Chel put everything in the hut.
dude, man, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, dude, like, there's so many people. Like, more people play or ESHL than play Hut, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be good for us if it was
It'd
only
be,
Hut.
dude. I apologize to all you World of Challengers, bro. My numbers would be great.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be great.
All those random sixes team tournaments would now be Hut if they did them. Like you could only play that. More people would be playing it. More cards on the auction house.
Way more, because everyone would be ripping packs. But
hashtag remove World of Chel from Hut.
That's Kesso, not me. That's Kesso, not me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna end up on Reddit.
Let me message Ben Ross right now.
All right, there's our list. Let me hear your list in the comments section down below, guys, and we'll be back. We're gonna have another episode in a couple days, I think, dude. After GWC on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we'll know the field and all that. But
yeah, we have to do it. Yeah, because I want to do the prediction for that because I think I have a good feel this year.
Dude, last year I was bang on.
You were.
There was 32 club qualifiers, like 32 club champions. I think I went like 26 out of 32. Like it was pretty good. I felt pretty good about it. But yeah, that'll be interesting.
Will be.
All right, boys. Thank you guys for watching or listening. However, we'll see you guys in a couple days. Have a good one, fellas.